concerns about the Bingley Road and Derry Hill planning applications have been brushed aside without proper scrutiny, and Bradford Council have demonstrated a siege mentality where they seem to have decided that these planning applications will be approved come what may and irrespective of what the evidence is. This is why I will continue to press for a debate in Parliament on this issue to flag up to the Minister the terrible way this planning process has been handled by the Council, and it is why I welcome the investigation by the local government ombudsman. Everyone in Menston should be extremely proud of everything that they have done to fight these unwanted and unnecessary developments, and I will continue to do all I can to support you. If I can now ask David Rhodes to finish off the evening, and I think he will give you an overview of where we currently are in terms of the flooding and drainage situation.
Do you want to use this one,
Dave? Good evening, everybody. Right, to start off with, let me just briefly say that a year ago, or nearly a year ago, I produced this document which was for the public inquiry on Bingley Road, but it was a document that covered both Bingley Road and Derry Hill and produced factual information on the flooding on both sides, and in particular the peak of the water flow and the volumes involved in the particular storm that occurred on the 24th and 25th of September 2012. That photographic and video information was actually provided to the Council in October 2012, and this was submitted for the public inquiry, which you know was pulled at the last minute by the developer. But prior to that, we'd also formally submitted it to the Council for consideration by the Regulatory and Appeals Committee on the 4th of April. We found out afterwards that not only was it not given to the committee, which we were told about, they claimed that it wasn't even given to the people, the council officers in the drainage department. Right? And they maintained they didn't have it until after this meeting in October. Remember, I spoke to you just before the meeting in October, because what happened after the Regulatory Appeals Committee last April, they approved both developments to go ahead. The 106 agreement for Bingley Road was signed, but it wasn't signed for Derry Hill. But immediately Taylor Wimpey appealed against the drainage condition, and then there was things going on throughout the entire summer, and I spoke to you a week before the actual Regulatory Appeals Committee looked at the variation. Now, in terms of what was agreed at that meeting, it was a proposal which came forward on the morning of the meeting. Right? And we knew about it when we entered the meeting. Okay? Now, when you actually look at that condition that was put forward, anybody with any common sense whatsoever would realise that the variation was a far simpler and easier condition to meet than the existing one that was there, which was related to water passing through the site. However, the council officers told the Regulatory Appeals Committee that this new condition was purely for clarity and was more stringent than the original condition. And that was committed in writing by one of the senior council officers to Philip Davis. And anybody with any common sense could see it wasn't. Right? Now, at that meeting I was asked to represent the parish council at the Regulatory Appeals Committee in October. The chairman ruled that I couldn't speak on behalf of the parish council. Also, one of the committee members wished to ask a question of me, and he refused permission for me to answer the question. Okay? Now, this document is purely factual. Everything that's been looked at by the drainage department and the developers is purely based on assumptions. Right? They were actually told a year ago, before the RNA committee, the developers, to simulate that storm of the 24th and 25th of September 2012. They didn't do it. This document at the time was not only supplied to the government inspector, the council, it was supplied to the Environment Agency and Yorkshire Water. They've had this document for nearly a year, and there's been not one comment from any of those organisations about the factual information in this document. Now, since October, your local parish councillor here, Dale Smith, has been working tirelessly to get the council officers to see some sense and engage in the facts that occur on these sites. Now, as of now, I've reached a position where I've come to the end of my tether. And that doesn't mean I'm walking away. What it means is that I've instructed Chris today that he should send a letter before action to the Bradford Council instructing them that we are going to the courts and taking an injunction out against them proceeding with any of these developments on the basis simply that there is no lawful drainage scheme that can meet the requirements in law, common law, nothing to do with planning law, in common law, without a significant investment in the ordinary watercourse infrastructure downstream of these sites. And we shall see where we go from there. If you would like to say a few words, Chris?
This is a bit tall for me. I think I recognise a lot of faces from when I've been here previously. I'm very happy to take questions on what David said. What I would say is that I, with Dale, have been trying to get the council to engage. I'm not actually a fan of litigation. I think it's a great shame that we're put in a situation where I think Philip Davies said that the council have developed a siege mentality, and they are brushing concerns that we have that are legitimate to one side. I'm totally confident of the law relating to nuisance. The schemes that are proposed both for both sites involve the storage of water and the redirection of water elsewhere. And put simply, the volumes of water involved, which eminent engineers, and not just David, have proved are significantly bigger. They are massively bigger than the assumptions being drawn by the developers' engineers. And put simply, those houses that don't currently flood will flood with these developments, unless there's a significant investment in the infrastructure, as David said. I don't want to litigate. I was just looking at these signs up here. I've been involved in this process for 4 years. What we are trying to do is to get the council to engage with us and take these assertions that we're making seriously, and actually to respond to us and actually tell us why we're wrong. Nobody from the council is even prepared to talk to us about it at the moment, and we are literally at a point where if they won't talk to us, then we're left with no choice but to take legal proceedings, and that's where David and I got to this lunchtime. So I'm very, very happy to take any questions if anybody's got.